Setsuka. Okay. I want to clear something up where it's not exclusive to her. Characters who have very Asian things, but their faces look white, and some Asians do look white, but there's always a trick. And unless you're a trained artist, like someone else in the world, or just a moron who spent too long looking, you won't know it. But Asian people don't have protruding eyelids. They are much flatter against their brow, and that's why you don't get like this crease here. And then the much worse one is their noses are wider and shorter, but you know, that obviously not as good. Anyway, that's a dumb note I wanted to get out of the way. Now, I've been interested in Soul Calibur for a very small amount of time. I'd only ever played Tekken, but a friend at school would always talk about it, and I had no fucking clue what he was talking about it. But he said there was a guy who already had the soul thing, the soul sword, or whatever, nightmare sword, looking for the nightmare sword. I know what he means now. Anyway, there's a new one coming out, and I wanted to get an idea of its chances as a long-term investment to play, which, if you're optimistic about the game, is, you know, more like getting a few steps into the legacy stuff, so you don't have to deal with it later. From my angle, only hearing about it and seeing a very select few videos, it's been told to me that every Soul Calibur after 2 sucked, so that's 3, 4, and 5, which is like half the series. And I've already played Soul Calibur 2 on emulator. I think it's pretty okay. The sidestepping spiral inwards is nonsense, and there's a way, and there's an option select for basically being able to move and block at the same time, which is retarded, unless you sidestep and go. And those two things define the game. I don't really like it. The high levels to watch, there's a lot of nut hugging each other. It's kind of messy and dizzying. But yeah, so I played that super casually with my brother, and it was like without any of that nonsense, and it was pretty close. Ring outs and everyone having things you've never dealt with before made it a lot closer than any 2D game would ever be. So I thought it was cool. And so after that, I went to try them in practice mode and look over the move lists. Like, everyone tries the Ivy command throw because it does 100 damage and you can hide it and like buffer it and whatever. And then I learned Cassandra and Talim, or as best as you can learn something while playing with someone who has no intention of learning the game. Fuck you, and fuck you forever. So anyway, on my journey of trying out the old Soul Calibur to see how well 6 would do, or see what's wrong with the old ones, I got Soul Calibur 3 on emulator, and I've had it since about yesterday, or like 2 days now, I guess, because I wrote it yesterday. But so I did arcade mode with 3 characters and unlocked those 4, and then because I promised we'd play it together, I didn't want to learn much of the character or much about the game. So instead, I spent ages with one character, and have just dissected Talim in training mode, finding all the tracking moves, the counter hits, the punish buttons. Got a big old spreadsheet, and doing that, I was wondering what's wrong with Soul Calibur 3, and this feels fine. And when I found this like dumbass launcher combo that can do up to 115, I was kind of excited. But in wondering, I eventually moved on to punishers, and that's where I thought I found some problems with their games. But because there isn't a proper training mode in Soul Calibur 2, so you can't actually like punish things properly. I think you can only set them to do something that who cares about. Anyway, so I found that almost nothing in this game is unsafe. Like negative 14, minus 14 sounds like you're going to die if you do that. But in this game, you'll get 25 damage with the equivalent of jab jab. So I was like, well, there's got to be something more. If it doesn't track, I guess you can sidestep launch into a big 70. But the risk reward doesn't make sense. Like, why would you ever do a non-tracking move in a game where nothing is unsafe? You know? Like, how are they going to outplay a tracking move? You can't. They're on top of you. You have to just mash something, I guess. And then I remembered the parry system. Someone does a big, slow, predictable thing, and then you can parry it, put them in a wonky state, and then you get a launch off of it for like big 50, 90 damage. In this game, though, this happens. You can parry infinitely. So, and I put a mic on so you can hear it. I'm just mashing, and it's parrying every time, and it looks like that's like, I don't know, it looks like that's how it's intended to be used, because it seems to fucking stay like that forever. But anyway, that slow, predictable attack you did, that's just begging to be parried and punished, it's just putting you in a state for a 50-50. Like, you can only... So, you trade away the punish that you could have had for a 50-50. I don't know, I'm not a fan of that. And the 50-50 isn't even a real one, because, like, the launch and jab are parried the same way, aren't they? Like, anyway, you know how in DOA you can get hit. You get hit, but you can still counter while it hits them. And because of that, the game is an endless paper scissors rock where any honest hit is basically worthless. Like, at least you can't just mash counter when you've been hit like you can in this. Anyway, imagine that system, except instead, if you happen to see someone doing a slow low and parry it to get a better punish, you don't. Like, it's pretty dumb, right? So I played a little bit longer to try and work out what the best punish you can get on a slow low is. And the best one is to jump over it and hit them on the way down. So for Talim, on like an approximately -18 to -20 low, that's like 28 or like 30 something, so you can actually see what's going on. Like easily see it and identify it, or it's a predictable thing. You can either get a rising B for 18, down B for 22, or jumping late B for 28. Like this string here that Sophitia does is actually so slow you can hit through it, but just for purposes, because I don't want to change stage or character or find a relevant sequence like it, I'll treat it like it's meant to be what I want it to be, like what would happen with a real sequence into a low that's like proper. And that's it. Like, I can only show you those things. So anyway, whatever. After that, like, episode of finding out that punishes are just non-existent, I was super curious. Like, I'd heard the game was bad, but no one has said why. And that isn't like a major thing. You can still play this game knowing that things aren't actually punishable. They're just like -10, because you can still get like frame traps out of everything, obviously. And after consulting the internet, I found this. And in essence, they are saying Soul Calibur 3 is a broken game on a competitive level because the lack of an arcade release meant they had no time to balance. And in 2006, like, imagine a patch that updates all of the shit. Like, Tekken 5 was pretty broken too, so they released a whole game called Tekken 5 Dark Revelation, something, which was basically a patch with new characters. And it's not like it's something new, releasing a new game as a patch. Like, Street Fighter 2 had 5 versions. Probably the most famous example of that. But anyway, the brokenness of Soul Calibur 3 comes in 2 shapes. The characters being unbalanced, like Sophie and Shuanghua are brokenly strong, while Rock and Talim are apparently unplayably weak. I did notice they changed Talim's like everything. I assume they did that for everyone, but apparently they didn't. So, and the second shape was glitches. Like G22, I don't know what that is, but we'll find out. Oh, I found out, obviously. Yeah. Guard 2-2, as in crouch. You can grab someone, guard, crouch twice, and then you can move while the throw animation should be happening. And it results in throws which are like apparently infinitely linkable, can set up for easy ring outs, or create some combos that would seem more at home in a Marvel game. And this, like, you can look them up on YouTube. There's type of stuff people have made. Like, there's a Mitsurugi doing 200 damage off of a throw. And this might be a standalone glitch, but many back throws give instant ring outs. I don't know what. I've not seen. I don't know how. I should look it up. It's too late now. And the next one they've written is guard impacts put you at a disadvantage. That's the parry stuff, I think. So I found that. I'm pretty proud that I found something wrong with the game. But I don't know if it's really wrong with the game. Like, who cares? Next one. Soul Calibur 4. Released in 2008 on Xbox 360 and PS3. It got, decently high mixed reviews, like in that 80s, 90s region. Which is meaningless because it's a game by a AAA company. Like, Call of Duty and FIFA continually get similar ratings. Anyway, this is 2011, or 3 years after the game came out. So 3 years of delving into mechanics, lab monstering, and decomposing the game. Decomposing? Breaking down the game into, well, that's the same thing, into individual components and molecules of things that happen and exist. And what does it look like? Well, it looks extremely limited and stealth compared to 3 and 2. the movement is non-existent. Like, most of the movement is done by the pushback of attacks. That's crazy. The sidesteps are super small, about 1/3 the size of 2 and 3s. Like, you know those... What it looks like is, you know those Street Fighter 2 clones? And all of the one-off SNK games? It's like that, where something in it exists, and the movement mechanics is so cheap, you just can't have fun anymore. Like, you just have to live with it. That's how this game looks, where something is just so broken that that's all you can do. Like, even with all the gimmicks and 120 moves available per character, it's just boiled down to 5 tools per character because of, like, I don't know, whatever. It's odd. It's a really odd looking game to, like, for a modern game to have such a limited thing, you know. It's super limited anyway. And then Soul Calibur 5, the last one, the most recent one, died after 3 months. I don't want to take too much of a gamble, but imagine a fighting game tournament in mid 2012. You've got Super Street Fighter 4, you've got KOF 13, Mortal Kombat X, MVC 3, Tekken Tag 2, plus every old game that is kept alive by the 4 kids who learned about it on Fightcade, and then Soul Calibur 5, like another stale, limited game with characters having 5 tools each, all trying to deal with the witch equivalent of Dalsim in a misplaced package where their marketing team use sexuality to sell it. Bayonetta level embarrassing. Except you don't have to pick Ivy. You kind of have to play as Bayonetta. Anyway, to sell it and use market, whatever. Replaced a majority of their roster with young protege versions, like children, like actual characters' children. Like, if you want a masterful way to make a fan base feel old, age your characters and they'll realise they've wasted their lives. And they'll hate you for it. It's in movies it's unavoidable, like real people do age, but don't age fictional characters if you don't have to. Like, I think Chun-Li had her 50th birthday, like if you go by the date they give you in Street Fighter 2. And that was a few days ago, like last week I think. Like, could you imagine if Chun-Li was a middle-aged like woman wearing a fleece and reading glasses, complaining about young people, and in between rounds shouting at her kids to do things and to not make a mess of Karen's mansion and stuff like that? Oh yeah, it'd be funny. Fuck you, would it? Unbelievable. I'm pissed they aged Sakura by 3 months and they gave her a part-time job. She's fighting with supernatural 3,000-year-old Aztec spirits, a zombie member of US military, a demon, like members of global secret police, a dictator, and you've got Sakura, part-time arcade worker, studying for a degree in making everyone else want to die. Like, fuck this nonsense. It's ridiculous. Don't do it. So what's in store for Soul Calibur 6? As you probably guessed, because of, you know, the fact I'm interested in the game, and that's why I'm making it, obviously. But whatever. I mean, let's take a look. I mean, the TNA looks pretty good. Whoever gets paid to do that is eating well, I guess. I mean, I laugh, but graphically, when the pretty girls look good, the graphics are at least decent. Like, there's something to work with, at least, you know? So, I mean, we can look at the past problems that the games have had, and why they don't, or, you know, what makes them lose appeal or something. Like Soul Calibur 2, the weird spiral sidestep shit that doesn't, I don't think that belongs, but whatever. I mean, people say it's the best one, which is scary, I think, because I think it looks stupid watching people do that. It doesn't have that, anyway. It doesn't have weird spiral sidestep shit and just blocking and sidestepping over and over again. Soul Calibur 3's glitches out the wazoo. Is it unbalanced? That's to be determined. Plus they have patches now. There's a funny thing with that though. Like, you remember Morrigan in MVC3 was considered a low tier, and then she got buffed. But then people discovered the firewall, uncancel fly, whatever. Who cares? I don't know how you do it. I've never played that game. I just know it exists. So she went from being a low tier to a buffed low tier to a buffed high tier in over a course of a few like whatevers, because people discovered something. If Soul Calibur 6 lives that long where patches stop, that could happen. That's cool, I think. Soul Calibur 4, it could be limited in terms of tools, but when you have movement at the forefront, there's a much That's a much more empowering tool for variety than having a few more viable moves. You know what I mean? Like, if you go from 5 viable moves to 10, it's still going to get super stale and limited. And Soul Calibur 5's problem, the normal roster has returned. I don't even have an attachment to it, but I feel sad seeing characters left out and replaced with their children, or like even older versions. It sucks. I think it sucks. Don't make people realise things they don't want to realise. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I've got a real itch for this game. I don't really care about it being suited to me as a player. I just want it to be like accessible and fresh, and not about the dumb shit or jazz. Like when people talk about a wedding, they don't talk about the quality of the confetti. They talk about, you know, the important things. It needs to be about the important things. It needs to be satisfying. It needs to let you play and not confine you into a consistent tournament mentality that, you know, people keep moving to. It fucking sucks. Like, reward the spectacular. And if you won't, because, you know, the spectacular doesn't happen too often, or shouldn't happen often, anyway. But if you won't reward that, at least make the normal stuff feel satisfying. Like, if I get punished or something, I want to crack their head on the floor, and the screen to shake, and things to stop, and whatever else. Anyway, thanks for putting up with me for, I presume, 20-something minutes. Sorry for low quality on the captures. The editor thing I use only goes up to 720p, so it's a bit pointless doing anything else. And the emulator was melting. Like, you can hear the music in slow motion, so I didn't want to go too high on encoding because it would all explode. I'll leave links to all of the videos used if you want like a high quality version. I think some of them go up to 4K on those. It's crazy, man. Like I'm not even on 1080p and 60 FPS, and these idiots are on